The blast doors slammed shut with a heavy thud, and everything went silent. Commander Ryan Vance opened his eyes slowly, his vision blurred by pain. His head throbbed like someone had struck it with a hammer. The cold floor beneath him was smooth, like glass glowing faintly with strange blue patterns that pulsed like veins. He tried to move, but the sound of metal rattled in the stillness. Chains. His wrists were locked together by glowing cuffs, the kind no human tool could break. Panic surged through him. The last thing he remembered was the chaos gunfire, screams, the bright flash when their shuttle was hit. And darkness. Now. This. He raised his head and froze. Someone was there. She stood in the shadows of the grand chamber, framed by pillars that looked like living crystal. The figure was tall, elegant, her silhouette sharp against the soft light. When she stepped forward, his breath caught in his throat. She wasn't human. Her skin shimmered like molten silver, smooth and flawless, glowing faintly as if the stars themselves lived under her flesh. Long strands of midnight black hair flowed. Down her back, almost touching the ground, and on her head sat a crown made of a strange, translucent material that pulsed with soft, living light. Her eyes, they weren't eyes at all, not as Ryan knew them. They were pools of violet fire, glowing with power, watching him with an intensity that felt like heat on his skin. The silence broke when she spoke, and her voice was like music, soft, smooth, but carrying something dangerous. "You are awake, human." Ryan swallowed hard, his throat dry. He pulled at the cuffs, but they didn't move. He hated the feeling of being powerless, but there was no escape. Where am I?" His voice was hoarse. She tilted her head, and the faintest smile touched her lips. "In my hall, my chamber, my world." Her tone was calm, but it carried the weight of authority. "You were taken after your ship fell. You live because I wished it." Ryan's mind raced. She wished it? Who was she? Why not kill him like the others? "Who are you?" he asked, his voice sharp now. Her smile widened, slow and almost playful. She walked closer, each step like a whisper on the glassy floor. Her gown shimmered, made of flowing strands of light and shadow that moved like water. She stopped just a few feet from him, towering above him like a queen in her throne room. "I," she said softly, bending slightly so her glowing eyes met his, "am Alira, daughter of the High Throne, Princess of the Keleth Dominion." Ryan's breath caught. He had heard that name before Keleth. A race so powerful, even the strongest human fleets feared their wrath. They ruled a dozen star systems with an iron hand and a grace that hid their cruelty. And now, their princess stood before him. "Why am I here?" Ryan asked, forcing his voice to stay steady. Her expression shifted, calm, then curious, then something darker. "Because you interest me," she said. "Because you're kind. Fascinates me." She reached out suddenly, her fingers brushing along his jaw. Ryan flinched at her touch. It was warm, almost burning. "So fragile," she whispered, almost to herself. "So breakable. And yet," her violet eyes locked on his. "You do not look afraid." Ryan clenched his jaw. Fear was in his veins, burning like fire, but he would not give her the satisfaction. "If you wanted to kill me," he said coldly, "you would have done it already." Alira laughed softly, a sound like crystal chimes. She leaned closer until he could feel her breath, warm against his skin. "Fear is not weakness, human," she murmured. "It is truth. But I wonder." Her smile turned wicked, her voice dropping lower. "Will you still fear me after tonight?" Ryan's pulse pounded. There was something in her tone, a promise, or a threat, maybe both. He didn't know what she wanted, but he knew one thing. He was in the hands of a being far beyond his strength, far beyond his world. "Whatever you're planning," he said, trying to sound strong. "It won't work." Her laughter returned, soft and dangerous. She circled him slowly, like a predator studying prey. Her fingers traced the chains that bound his wrists, and the glowing cuffs responded to her touch, humming faintly. "Oh, human," she whispered behind him, her voice like silk and fire. "You think this is a cage?" She leaned close to his ear, and the chains vanished in a burst of light. The sudden freedom made Ryan stumble forward, but her hand caught his arm firm, unyielding, almost tender. He turned to face her, and for the first time, he saw something flicker in her glowing eyes. Curiosity, hunger, something else he couldn't name. "You are in my world now," she said softly, lifting his chin with a finger. "And here we do not play by human rules." Ryan stared at her, his heart hammering. Her next words froze the air between them. "Tell me, human, should I show you our way of love?" Her wicked smile lingered like a spark before the fire. The silence in the chamber felt heavy after her words. "Should I show you our way of love?" The question echoed in Ryan's mind like a storm. He stared at her, trying to read her face, but her expression was calm, too calm. That wicked smile stayed, curving her lips like the edge of a blade. Ryan took a step back, his fists tightening even without the chains. What do you mean by that?" His voice cracked slightly, betraying a flicker of uncertainty. Illyra tilted her head, studying him like a curious predator. Her long hair glimmered in the pale light as she moved closer, every step graceful and slow. "You humans speak of love as if it is soft, weak," she said. Her voice was low, each word like a note in a dangerous song. "You tie it to words like kindness, care, and fear." Ryan swallowed hard. "That's not weakness. It's strength," he shot back. Her laughter was like crystal breaking sharp and sweet at the same time. "Strength?" she repeated, walking around him like a queen circling a prize. "To us, love is power. It is fire and blood. It is the claim of soul over soul. It is not gentle." Her words sent a chill down Ryan's spine. He tried to hold his ground. "I don't need to understand your customs," he said. "Oh, but you do," Illyra whispered, stopping right in front of him. Her glowing eyes burned into his, and for a moment he felt like he was falling into an endless violet storm. "Because your survival depends on it." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Survival?" She leaned in, her lips close to his ear, her breath hot against his skin. "My council wants you dead. They see you as a threat, a trespasser. They want your blood on the palace floor." Her fingers brushed the edge of his jaw, tracing down slowly to his collarbone. "But I can save you." Ryan's pulse quickened. "And what do you want in return?" The wicked smile returned. Her voice was soft, but heavy with promise. "I want your truth," she said. "Your heart, your will." He stared at her, confused and cautious. "What does that even mean?" Illyra stepped back slightly, her gown shimmering like liquid starlight. "It means I will show you our way," she said calmly. "A way where fear and desire live together. A way where two souls are bound in something unbreakable. If you pass the test, you live. And maybe, just maybe, humanity earns a place in this galaxy." Ryan shook his head. "And if I refuse?" Her eyes hardened like steel under fire. "Then they will come for you, and I will not stop them." The words hung in the air like a knife. Ryan felt the weight of the choice pressing down on him. Every instinct screamed to say no, to fight, to escape. But deep inside, he knew there was no running. He was in her world now, and the rules were hers. His voice was tight when he spoke. "What is this test?" Illyra's smile widened, slow and dangerous. "The Krither vow," she said, her tone almost like a whisper of a secret. "An ancient ritual. It is not about flesh alone, it is about strength, about trust, About surrender. Ryan felt his stomach twist. Surrender? You mean, I mean. She cut in sharply, her voice echoing like thunder in the grand chamber. You will give yourself to the bond, body and soul. If you break, you die. You will never be the same. The glow around her grew brighter, as if the room itself bent to her will. Ryan stared, his heart pounding so loud it hurt his ears. Everything about this was wrong. Everything about her was dangerous, but her eyes, there was something in them, something more than cruelty, something almost lonely. For a moment he saw not a princess, not a captor, but a woman bound by her own throne, desperate for something real. His voice came out rough. And if I say yes? Elira's smile softened, but her eyes blazed brighter than ever. Then I will show you everything, she said. Pleasure, pain, power, and maybe love, as only my kind can give. Ryan stood frozen, every muscle tense, every thought screaming in chaos. Could he do this? Should he? Before he could speak, Elira reached out and touched his hand lightly. But the warmth burned through his skin like fire. Decide quickly, human, she whispered, because once we begin, there is no turning back. The air between them felt alive, heavy with heat and something he didn't dare name. Ryan opened his mouth to answer, but the doors behind Elira slid open with a loud hiss. Two tall figures entered, armored in black and silver, their weapons humming with deadly energy. Elira turned her head slowly, her expression shifting to a cold mask of authority. One of them bowed. Princess, the soldier said, his voice deep and metallic. The council demands the human be executed immediately. Ryan's blood ran cold. His heart slammed in his chest. Elira looked back at him, her glowing eyes unreadable now. And then, slowly, she smiled again, sharp, wicked, and full of promise. Not yet, she said softly. ***. The chamber fell silent after Elira's words. Not yet. Her voice was soft, but it carried a weight that made the two armored guards freeze. Their glowing weapons hummed as they shifted uneasily under her cold stare. Leave us, Elira, commanded, her tone smooth but sharp as a blade. The guards hesitated. Princess, the council will obey me, she cut in, her eyes blazing like violet fire. The glow around her body pulsed with sudden heat, and the guards stepped back instinctively. Go. They bowed stiffly and left without another word, the doors closing behind them with a hiss. Silence returned, thick as smoke. Ryan stood still, his chest rising and falling fast. He wasn't sure if he should feel relieved or terrified. Elira turned back to him slowly. That wicked smile returned, curling her lips like a secret flame. No, she said softly, walking toward him, her steps echoing in the vast chamber. Where were we? Ryan's throat tightened. You were about to explain. Her laugh was low, almost musical. Explain? She stopped just inches away, tilting her head as if studying him like a rare jewel. No, human, I will not explain. I will show you. Before Ryan could speak, Elira raised her hand. The floor beneath him shifted with a deep hum. Light burst from the glowing veins in the ground, forming a circle around them. Strange symbols flared like living fire, crawling across the glassy floor. The air grew heavy, humming with energy that made Ryan's skin prickle. What the hell? He stepped back, but Elira's fingers brushed his arm, and suddenly the movement stopped, as if his body no longer obeyed. Her eyes met his, calm and burning at the same time. Do not fight it, she said gently. If you resist, the bond will tear you apart. The bond? Ryan's voice was harsh. His heart thundered. Elira's lips curved. The Krither vow, she whispered. Our way of love. Our way of truth. Ryan shook his head, panic flashing in his eyes. You said this was a test. Not what? Illyra's voice was silk, but her words cut deep. Not intimacy? Not surrender? Oh, human, you do not understand. To us, love is not. A word, it is a vow sealed by soul and flame. Her gown shimmered as she stepped closer, the fabric melting into a second skin of glowing light. Ryan's breath caught every instinct scream to run, but there was nowhere to go. The walls pulsed with the same violet glow as her eyes, and the circle under his feet burned brighter. Illyra lifted her hand slowly, and the air itself bent. From the floor rose long, luminous vines alive, glowing with energy. They moved like serpents, wrapping gently around Ryan's wrists and ankles. He jerked in shock. "What are you doing?" "Binding you to the vow," she said simply, her voice like fire and honey. "You cannot step away now." Ryan struggled, but the vines tightened not harsh, but firm, pulsing like they had a heartbeat. Heat radiated through them into his skin, not painful, but overwhelming. His chest heaved as Illyra moved closer, so close that her glowing skin cast a soft light across his face. "This is not a cage," she murmured, brushing her fingers against his cheek. "It is a bridge between your world and mine." Ryan's voice was a whisper. "Why? Why are you doing this?" Her eyes softened, but only for a moment. "Because I want to know," she said quietly. "If what they say of humans is true, that you love without chains, that you fight for hearts as fiercely as for life." Ryan swallowed hard. "And if I fail?" Her smile returned, sharp as a blade. "Then you burn." The words froze him. "Burn? What?" Before he could finish, the vines pulsed with a surge of light, and heat flooded his veins like liquid fire. Ryan gasped, his body arching against the glowing bonds. A sound tore from his throat, not of pain alone, but of something deeper. His mind spun as waves of strange energy rolled through him, stripping away his strength, his shields, his fear. Images flashed before his eyes, memories of Earth, of battlefields, of friends lost. Through it all, Illyra's voice was there, soft and commanding inside his mind. "Let go, human. Let it break you. Let it bind you." Ryan's breath came in. Ragged gasps. "I can't." "You can," she whispered, pressing her forehead to his. Her violet eyes filled his vision, glowing brighter, brighter until everything else faded. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then the chamber exploded with light. Ryan screamed as the energy ripped through him, tearing down every wall inside his soul. The vines tightened one last time and melted away, leaving him on his knees, trembling and drenched in sweat. The glowing circle dimmed slowly, flickering like dying stars. Illyra stood over him, her face calm, but her eyes burning with something. Fierce, she reached down, her fingers tilting his chin up. "Now," she said softly, her smile wicked and beautiful all at once. "You are mine." Ryan stared at her, his heart pounding, his body shaking, and deep inside, something new burned. Something dangerous. But before he could speak, a deep rumble shook the chamber. The walls quivered. Somewhere far away, alarms blared. Illyra's smile vanished, her head snapping toward the door. "They've come," she whispered. "And they will kill us both." The sound was like thunder, tearing through the palace walls. A deep rumble shook the floor, making the glowing symbols flicker beneath Ryan's knees. The alarms grew louder, sharp and metallic, echoing down the endless corridors beyond the chamber doors. Ryan lifted his head slowly, his breath still ragged from the ritual. His body felt strange alive, burning with energy, but weak at the same time. Every nerve buzzed like fire under his skin. He didn't know what had just happened, only that he was no longer the same. Illyra stood still, her silver hair flowing like liquid night, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. For the first time since he met her, There was no wicked smile on her lips. Her expression was hard, sharp with focus, and something that almost looked like fear. Ryan forced his voice out, hoarse and shaky. "What's happening?" "They've come," Illyra said, her tone like steel. "The council sent their enforcers." She looked at him, her jaw tight. "They know about the vow." Ryan's pulse spiked. He tried to stand, his legs trembling under him. "What does that mean for me?" Her eyes burned like violet suns as she grabbed his arm and pulled him up. With effortless strength. "It means they will kill you. And me." The words hit him like a blow. Ryan's heart slammed against his ribs. "Then why did you—" "Because I don't regret it," Illyra cut in, her voice fierce now. Her grip on his arm tightened. "And because I won't let them take you." Before Ryan could answer, the massive doors burst open with a blast of energy, shards of crystal flying like knives. Smoke and heat rolled into the chamber as dark figures stormed in Kelith warriors in black and silver armor, their weapons glowing with lethal light. "Seize the human." One of them roared, his voice booming through the hall. "And bring the princess alive." Ryan's breath caught. Alive. That meant they planned to hurt her. Maybe worse. Ely Ra stepped forward like a storm given form, her gown rippling into plates of living metal that fused to her body in a flash of light. Her crown pulsed like a burning star as she summoned the blade from the air itself, a long curved weapon made of pure energy. The room shook as her voice thundered. "No one touches him." The warriors hesitated for a heartbeat, but then the first one charged. Illyra moved like lightning, her blade slicing through the air with deadly grace. Sparks of violet fire erupted as steel met energy. Ryan stumbled back, his pulse hammering as the fight exploded before him, a storm of glowing blades, burning arcs, and alien cries. For a moment, all Ryan could do was watch in awe and terror. Illyra was a dancer in a hurricane, her every move sharp and beautiful, her power burning like a sun. But there were too many of them, 6, maybe 7, and they fought like shadows with blades. Ryan's instincts screamed, "Move, help her." He grabbed a fallen spear from the ground, a weapon twice as heavy as anything he'd held before, and swung it as one warrior lunged at Illyra from behind. The blade met armor with a crack of sparks. The alien soldier staggered, shocked by the human strength. Ryan gritted his teeth and swung again, knocking the weapon from the soldier's hand. For the first time, the alien looked at him with something other than contempt surprise. Before Ryan could finish him, another warrior slammed him to the ground. The air left his lungs in a harsh gasp as metal pressed against his throat. "Stay down, animal," the warrior snarled, raising his blade for the kill. "Ryan!" Illyra's voice sliced through the chaos like fire. The world flashed violet. Energy roared past Ryan's face, and the warrior above him turned into a burning silhouette before collapsing in sparks. Illyra stood over him, her chest heaving, her blade glowing brighter than a star. Ryan stared up at her, his heart pounding, not from fear, but from something far more dangerous. She reached down, grabbed his hand, and yanked him up with a strength that felt like iron and silk all at once. "Stay close to me," she said, her voice low but burning with heat. Ryan nodded, gripping the alien spear tighter. They stood back. To back now, the circle of enemies closing in. Smoke curled around them, glowing sparks drifting through the air like fireflies in a storm. Ryan's voice was raw. "Tell me we can make it out." Illyra turned her head slightly, her eyes catching his with a fierce light. "If you trust me," she said, her words sharp as a blade. "If you give me everything." Ryan's breath hitched, the memory of her vow still burning in his blood. He looked at her, and for the first time, he didn't see an alien princess or a captor. He saw a warrior who would burn the galaxy to keep him alive. And he made his choice. Then let's finish this together, he said. Alira's wicked smile returned, slow and beautiful, even in the fire. Good answer, human. The chamber doors cracked open again, and a flood of soldiers poured in, their blades glowing like suns. The palace shook with the sound of war, and Ryan tightened his grip as Alira whispered the words that sent chills through his bones. If we live through this, you will never be free of me. The palace burned behind them. Smoke curled like black ribbons against the violet glow of the alien sky. Ryan stumbled through the shattered corridor, his hand clenched in Alira's as alarms wailed like screams. In every direction. His chest heaved, lungs raw from the fight, muscles aching from swinging a weapon that felt like a block of steel, but they were alive. For now, Alira led him through a half-collapsed passage, her glowing armor flickering like dying stars. Even in this chaos, she moved with the grace of a queen, fast, sharp, controlled. Her silver hair, now loose and wild from battle, clung to her face as she pushed open a heavy door that sealed behind them. With a hiss. Silence. Ryan staggered against the wall, pressing a trembling hand to his ribs. The room was small, circular, and dimly lit by soft blue crystals that pulsed like hearts. His throat was dry, his body buzzing with exhaustion, and something else, the echo of the ritual still, burning under his skin. Alira stood in the center of the room, her chest rising and falling as she ripped away pieces of cracked armor. Sparks fell from her blade as it dissolved back into the air. Her glowing eyes softened slightly, but her voice was sharp when she spoke. They will not stop, she said. Not until one of us is dead. Ryan swallowed hard. Then we keep moving, find a way out. Alira shook her head slowly, her black hair rippling like ink in water. There is no way out, human. Not now. She looked at him, her eyes glowing, like fire in the dim light. They will hunt us through every corridor. Unless... She paused, her voice dropping lower, heavier. We finish what we started. Ryan stared at her, his heart pounding. You mean the vow? Yes, Alira said simply. It is the only thing that can save us. Ryan shook his head, the words catching in his throat. You're saying, if we complete this ritual, they'll just let us walk out? Not let us, Alira said, stepping closer, her presence filling the room like heat. They will not dare harm you. Or me. The Krither vow is sacred. Once sealed, it binds our lives, our souls. To touch you would be to defy the law written in the blood of my ancestors. Even the council fears that. Ryan took a shaky breath. His mind screamed no, but his body, his heart, they remembered her touch, the burning light that had torn through him. The bond wasn't just words, it was something deeper, something he could feel even now, like a whisper in his bones. What does it mean for me? His voice was low, almost a whisper. Alira stopped in front of him, so close he could see the faint shimmer of energy under her skin, like starlight trapped in flesh. She lifted her hand slowly, brushing her fingers against his jaw. The touch was soft, but it burned like fire and ice at once. It means, she said, her voice quiet but fierce, that you will belong to me. That your soul will be tied to mine until the stars fall from the sky. Ryan's chest tightened. And if I refuse? Her eyes hardened, but there was something behind the fire, now something raw. Then you die, she said. And I... She hesitated, her lips trembling. For the first time, I lose the only thing that ever felt real. The words hit him like a blade. He stared at her, stunned. What are you saying? Alira's breath shook as she stepped closer, so close he could feel her heartbeat against his chest. A strange, steady rhythm, deeper than any human pulse. Her voice cracked like glass when she spoke again. I was born to rule, she said. To command, to conquer, to bend worlds to my will. And yet, I have never known choice, never known freedom. Until you... Ryan's throat tightened. He wanted to speak, to tell her she was wrong, that this couldn't happen. But his words died when her hand slid down his arm, fingers lacing with his. You defy me, Illyra whispered. You challenge me. You burn against me like a star, refusing to die. And for that, I want you, human, not as a prize, not as a slave, but as mine. Ryan's heart pounded so loud he thought she could hear it. The weight of her words crashed over him like a storm, terrifying, impossible, but real. And before he could think, before he could breathe, he said the only thing his soul could push. Out, I don't fear you anymore. Illyra froze, her violet eyes widening. Then, slowly, the fire in them softened into something else, something that made his chest ache. You should, she whispered Dot, and then she kissed him Dot. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't soft. It was fire and darkness and light exploding all at once. Ryan felt his knees buckle as the vow's energy roared back to life, pouring through him like a tidal wave of heat. His mind spun, his body burned, and somewhere deep inside, something broke free, something that had been chained his whole life. When the kiss broke, Ryan gasped for air, his hands gripping her arms like they were his lifeline. Illyra's smile returned, slow and fierce. Now, she said softly, her voice like silk over steel, we finish the vow. But before she could take his hand again, the wall behind them exploded in a shower of fire and shards. Soldiers poured in, their weapons blazing with deadly light. Illyra whirled, her blade flashing back to life. Her voice thundered like the storm. Stay behind me, human. Ryan clenched his fists, his blood roaring with the fire of her kiss. Fire of the vow. No, he said, picking up the fallen spear with shaking hands. His eyes burned with something fierce. We fight together. Illyra's smile widened, wicked and bright, even in the firestorm. Good, she whispered. Asterisk, the wall burned like the mouth of a volcano. Shards of crystal rained down, sparks flying. Through the smoky air, as Kelith warriors stormed inside, their weapons glowing with deadly heat. Their eyes burned with one command: kill the human, capture the princess. Ryan tightened his grip on the alien spear. His arms ached, his body screamed from the wounds of the fight before. But the fire inside him, Illyra's fire, roared stronger than pain. Illyra stepped in front of him, her gown melting into living armor once again, her blade alive with violet flame. When she spoke, her voice was a storm breaking through the sky. No one touches him. The first warrior lunged. Illyra moved like lightning, her blade slicing through the air, sending a surge of energy that shattered the attackers. Weapon. He fell in a flash of sparks, but 5 more closed in from the smoke. Ryan jumped forward before his mind could stop him. The spear felt heavy, but the vow's power thrummed in his veins, guiding his arms. He swung hard, the shaft cracking against an armored chest with bone-shaking force. The alien soldier staggered, and Ryan drove the spear forward, knocking him to the ground. Another came at him from the left. Ryan turned too slow, and a violet blaze ripped past his face, cutting the attacker down before the blade could strike. Illyra was there, eyes blazing, moving with deadly grace even as firestorm chaos raged around them. You fight like a child, she hissed, cutting another down with a single slash. Ryan gritted his teeth, blocking a strike with the spear. Then teach me. Her lips curved in a wicked grin, even in the middle of battle. Later, she said, if we live. The room shook as more soldiers poured in. Energy bolts cracked against the walls, filling the chamber with flashes of blue and violet light. Ryan felt his chest tighten. There were too many. Illyra. He shouted over the chaos. We can't hold them all. Her eyes flicked to him, sharp as a blade. Then we don't. Before he could ask what that meant, she grabbed his wrist. Her grip like iron and fire. With her other hand, she slammed her blade into the ground. The entire floor glowed, then shattered with a sound like a breaking star. Ryan's stomach lurched as the world fell away. They dropped into darkness, weightless, for a breathless second, then landed hard on a smooth surface below. Ryan groaned, rolling onto his side as Alira pulled him up without breaking stride. Above them, the chamber roared with fire and screams. Ryan blinked through the haze. They were in a tunnel-long, glowing veins of light pulsing through the walls. Like living blood. What is this place? He rasped. A way out, Alira said, pulling him along at a run. If we reach the shadow gate, we live. Ryan stumbled after her, his boots slipping on the glassy floor. His mind reeled, heart pounding, not just from the escape, but from everything. The kiss, the vow, the way her hand burned against his. Like a brand. Why are you doing this? He blurted out. Why risk everything for me? Alira slowed just enough to look back at him. For the first time, her expression was bare no wicked smile, no sharp edges. Only raw, unguarded truth. Because, she said softly, her voice breaking through the echo of alarms, I have lived 100 years in silence, and you made me feel alive. Ryan's chest tightened. He stared at her, his breath caught in his throat. Alira. She turned away quickly, her jaw hardening again. Save your words. Save your breath. For running. They ran deeper, the tunnel curving like a serpent's spine. But the sound of pursuit grew louder, the pounding of armored boots, the hiss of energy blades. They were coming. Alira stopped suddenly at a massive door carved from dark crystal. Strange symbols glowed across its surface like fire trapped in stone. This is it, she said, placing her palm against the door. Her voice was low, urgent. Once we cross, there's no going back. Ryan stepped closer, his pulse hammering. Then open it. She turned her head slowly, her glowing eyes locking on his. The vow must be sealed first, she said. Ryan froze. Here? Now? Yes, Alira whispered, her voice soft but sharp as a blade. If we pass through unbound, the shadows will consume you. Ryan's breath caught. Behind them, the soldiers' voices grew louder, echoing down the tunnel. The door pulsed under Alira's hand, waiting, alive. She stepped close, so close he could feel the heat of her skin. Her hand rose, brushing his face with a touch that made his chest ache. Choose. Human, she said, her voice a whisper of fire and silk. Seal the vow or die with me here. Ryan stared into her eyes, his blood roaring like a storm. He could still taste her kiss. He could feel the vow's fire burning in his veins. And in that moment, with death pounding at the door behind, them the choice wasn't a choice at all. He took her hand. Her smile bloomed like the first light of a star. Then come, she whispered. Let me make you mine. The crystal door split with a sound like thunder. Shadows swirled like living smoke, as Alira pulled him through straight into darkness that glowed with violet fire. And behind them, the soldiers roared as the door slammed shut. Asterisk the shadow gate slammed shut with a boom that echoed like thunder. Darkness swallowed everything, thick and endless, yet alive with a faint violet glow. Ryan stumbled as his boots hit the smooth, cold surface of the new chamber. It was vast, stretching so far he couldn't see walls, only waves of glowing mist, rolling like a living ocean under a black sky. His breath came hard, his chest aching from the run. Behind them, the sound of pursuit had vanished. They were alone now, or so it felt. Alira stood a few steps ahead, her silver hair flowing like molten moonlight, her glowing eyes fixed on the horizon of shadows. Her voice broke the silence, low and steady. "We are safe for the moment, but only if we seal the vow now." Ryan swallowed hard. His throat felt dry. The words hung heavy, as if the air itself pressed against his skin. "What happens if we don't?" She turned, and the look in her eyes made his heart freeze. "The gate will not let you leave unbound. It will tear you apart soul first." Ryan's blood ran cold. He stared at her, at the alien princess who had dragged him through fire and death, who had kissed him like a storm, and whispered promises that burned like stars. He should be afraid. He should run. But deep down, something stronger than fear pulsed inside him. "What do I have to do?" he asked, his voice rough. Illyra stepped closer, her movements slow, deliberate, like a predator circling its prey, except her eyes held no malice now. Only hunger, only need. "Give me your hand," she said softly. Ryan hesitated only a second before holding it out. Her fingers wrapped around his, warm and strong, a strange pulse of energy rushing up his arm. She lifted his hand to her lips and pressed a kiss against his skin. His breath caught. "Now," Illyra whispered, her voice like silk and fire, "speak. The words I give you, and mean them, or the vow will kill you." Ryan nodded slowly, his throat dry as dust. Her glowing eyes locked on his. "Say, 'My heart is yours until the stars fall.'" Ryan's chest tightened. The words felt like iron, like chains, and yet, when he spoke them, his voice was steady. "My heart is yours until the stars fall." Illyra's lips curved in a slow, wicked smile. "Good. Now, my soul burns with yours until the dark takes us both." Ryan swallowed hard, his pulse pounding in his ears. "My soul burns with yours until the dark takes us both." The air shivered around them. The mist rose higher, curling like smoke, glowing brighter as if the vow woke something alive in the shadows. Illyra stepped closer until her body pressed against his, her breath hot against his ear. "One last line, human," she whispered. "I am yours forever." Ryan's heart slammed like a drum. Forever. The word struck like lightning. His old life flashed in his mind, Earth, the blue skies, the faces of his people, and then Illyra's face. Her fire, her voice saying his name like a secret. "I am yours," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Forever." The world exploded. In light, a surge of violet energy roared through the chamber, lifting them both from the ground. Ryan cried out as heat burned through his veins, every nerve on fire, but it wasn't pain. It was something bigger, something that shattered walls. He didn't know he had. He felt her Illyra inside his mind, her heartbeat thundering with his, her breath mixing with his soul like two flames becoming one. "Mine," her voice whispered in his head, fierce and wild. "Yours." His thoughts answered, without fear. The mist collapsed inward like a dying star, then burst outward in a shockwave of light. When the glow faded, Ryan fell to his knees, gasping, his body trembling. The vow's fire still burned in his blood, but now it was steady, like a second heartbeat inside him. Illyra knelt before him, her armor gone, her body shimmering with soft light. She cupped his face in her hands, her eyes glowing like twin suns. "It is done," she said, her voice quiet but carrying the weight of galaxies. "You are mine, and I—" Her lips trembled for a breath, her fire softening into something raw. "I am yours." Ryan couldn't speak. Words felt too small. So he did the only thing his soul screamed for. He pulled her into his arms and kissed her. It was deep, desperate, filled with everything they couldn't say. She melted into him, her hands gripping his shoulders, as if the world could burn, and she wouldn't let go. The kiss broke only when a sharp sound cracked through the silence, a distant explosion, faint but growing. Alira's eyes narrowed. "There. Coming," she said. "Even the vow will not keep them from trying." Ryan rose slowly, his chest still heaving, his fingers tightening around hers. "Then let them come?" His voice was rough, but steady, burning with something new, something unbreakable. Alira's wicked smile returned, but softer now, touched with something almost tender. She brushed her lips against his ear and whispered the words that sealed not just the vow, but their fate. "And fight with me, human, until the stars fall." Far above, the palace burned. Shadows swirled like storms as Keleth warships filled the sky. And in the heart of the darkness, two souls stood bound by, fire ready to burn the galaxy together. End. Asterisk.